Hello and welcome to the Franchise Territory Mapping Summit from Mango Map. My name is Lawrence. I'm the head of marketing here at Mango, and we are the world's leading franchise sales and territory mapping platform, helping companies all across the globe create, manage, and sell more franchise territories, normally within 90 days. I'm joined here today by our resident franchise mapping expert. I don't think there are a few people anywhere in the world who have mapped more territories in the past few years than Paul. It'd be great if you could just give us an introduction, Paul, to everyone watching in this, about what you work on at Mango and some of the clients that you've worked with as well.
Yeah, thanks, Lawrence. Really my role is to work with franchisors who are either just starting with a territory mapping approach or people have been dabbling a little bit but want to do more. And so it's really to sit down with them through the whole process of defining what does a great territory look like, what kinds of data do we need to bring in to make that happen and to describe the territory, how do we bound the territory, and how do we build those territories out. But not just build them. How do we make them compelling and interesting to the franchisees ultimately, or the prospects initially, to convince them that this is a great business opportunity and to engage and to come on board.
Yeah, that's a really great summary, actually. That is essentially the process that we're going to be covering today during this summit. We're going to go from how you start thinking about adopting a data-driven territory strategy. We'll be explaining some of the new and innovative ways that franchises are using territories. We'll be going through all the different types of data that are out there that you can go and use. A lot of them, the real gold standard, high-value data is often free as well. This is something that a lot of people don't know. And then we'll be going through how you bring all that together and ultimately take that to market and begin selling territories to more prospects. So let's start with the topic of this talk is why territories. I think let's just give a high-level overview about where we currently are, where we've been in the past, about what a territory is, etc. I think that'd be a really great starting point.
Yeah, sure. So there's a number of reasons why we'd adopt a territory mapping approach. For some businesses, it might be obvious. If you're a mobile service, having a defined set of customers that franchisee can service makes perfect sense. But for other businesses with a fixed location, sometimes they're more site focused and just with a simple radius, 2 miles or whatever around a store. But that's really doing a bit of a disservice to both the franchisee and the franchisor, because there's opportunities that are going to be left on the table. So really what adopting a territory mapping approach is about is defining areas based on your own experience, ideally operating successful stores, because you can convey that to your franchisees. Defining how far people are willing to travel for that service, and thus informing decisions about territory sizing, knowing something about your customers, or by doing market studies, you can define what an ideal customer looks like in terms of age, income, and so forth. And so it's really taking that information and then presenting it to prospects as a compelling story. So to give them the confidence that they can set up and build a business in this area. It's going to be a viable business. They're not going to be face competition from adjacent businesses under the same brand, and also for them to understand things like the competitive landscape, where they might open. So those are really the main reasons for adopting a territory mapping approach.
Yeah, and I think the real seismic shift that's happened, say over the past 5 years or so, that we've been really heavily involved in, is that moving away from just thinking about a site, and like you said, with perhaps a 2-mile zone around it, and really thinking more about creating a viable area that you can package, that you can use many different data points on, because it is all available now, and then you can create that and then package it and sell it to prospects and create that really engaging story. So I think that's what we mentioned in the beginning was about the new and innovative ways that territories are being used. I think that really gets to the heart of it. It's a shift from a site to an actual area with layers of data to inform the creation of that.
Yeah, that's right. And essentially, what we're talking about is the franchisee can buy into that business, even if they don't have the site identified. I mean, the assumption, or you can test that assumption, is that there are a range of suitable properties that they could set up in. But it means you don't have to wait until later to sort of finalize that agreement. So it's a way for the franchisor to keep moving ahead with their sales processes. It gives the franchisees an opportunity to reserve an area that they are later going to, find a site and develop the business. So that's really the change from thinking about site first. It's really about territory first and site second.
And also, as well, during that sales process, it's not just about hot air. It's about actually building a relationship with someone who's investing in your business and giving them a viable business opportunity, a market that is just theirs. There is no infringements from anyone, from any other franchisees. It's a set specific territory. It's been thought about with specific
Right.
metrics and data points, and then it's building that relationship. So, what are the main benefits, say, of having, say, visual territories? Um, we talk about going from present to sell quite a lot. Maybe we could explore that a little bit more.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, the first thing is, you're based on real data. So typically the data has come from the census, which is household level. So every person is counted, their age, income, employment, education level is recorded. So it's a way for you to describe that area completely and accurately with current data. So it's real data. Putting the boundary around that gives reserves that area for that franchisee, and tells them that there's going to be enough people in that area to operate. And then it's really about presenting it to them. They can see it. They can see where the boundaries are. They know that there's that many people living in the area. We can additionally layer on other information for them. But it's visual. It's real data. Rather than just talking about the generalities of an area, we can get down to specifics.
Yeah, and there are different types of businesses as well that may need different types of data. A franchise targeting an older demographic is going to need a different profile to, like, say, a restaurant cleaning franchise, or a cleaning franchise for businesses, for example. These are all different data points that you're going to need in order to create your territories. So you really have to tailor your approach depending on who your customer is, and what your ideal market
Yeah,
is.
that's right. I mean, the census obviously collects a lot of information, and then we can sort of break that down, pull out specific demographic factors. For example, if we want to know how many people age 65 and up, if we're doing an aged care business, or how many people between age 0 and 4, if we're doing a kindergarten business, because some areas have more or less of those demographics. So we want to make sure there's enough of those people in the area. And then, you can further break it down by income in some places. So how many people between 19 and 44 earning over a certain amount. So you can really drill down and get specific to get a sense of the market opportunity.
And there's also the point about, I think we touched upon it a little bit, but I think we should really underline this point. It's about avoiding conflict, and relationship building with your investors, with your franchisees. Territories give you that clear boundary. It's like, this is my market. So maybe you could just speak to that a little bit, just to sort of add some more
Sure.
context
So,
there.
so, so they can work in a number of ways. For example, lead flow. You can assign leads if they're coming to the parent company's website. For example, leads can be assigned to the correct territory. It's also, you can assure people that they have enough elbow room to operate. That there's not going to be a competing store opened up too close. The territory inherently conveys that, but you can have additional information about uh, restrictions on siting, for example. So if you don't take a territory-based approach, or you're not particularly concerned about sites, you can see cannibalizing between adjacent businesses, because people might travel
Yeah.
4, 5, 6 miles or kilometers to a business. You want to make sure that they're not sort of competing for the same pool of customers, and territories help you solve that problem.
This is a trend, a very recent trend that I think we should just touch upon. Is that a few years ago, I think the whole ideology was shift as many units as
Mm.
you can. It was just, now it's shifted more towards building a sustainable relationship with your investors and making sure that their local market is sustainable.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes people have tended to be, let's say, it's possible to oversell it a bit, maybe to overestimate the amount of market that you might capture from a particular population. The trend these days that we're seeing with brands that we're working with is they're really looking for sustainability. Some of the businesses where they've really packed in the sites and the territories. Some of them are failing, going up for resale. So it's really about getting the balance right. For you as the franchisor, obviously, fully selling a city, but with good viable territories that your franchisees are going to be successful at. Obviously, that's a win-win because there's revenue sharing occurring there. So that's really what we're seeing right now is to try and get that balance right. Not to jam them in too much, but that's really something that we can sit down and discuss and develop as part of your strategy.
Yeah, I think that's a key. That is the key point about the strategy. It's when we work with a franchise brand, it is defining that ideal, say, customer. Who is the target customer
Hmm.
here? And then we it's like the
Yeah.
Goldilocks effect, and that it's about creating a territory that can support one
Yeah.
location. That has a viable local opportunity in terms of there are enough people there of the right type that can form a really functioning, successful
Hmm.
business. So it's just about that balance to make sure that you're not cutting up your territories too
Right.
small. And then on the other hand, it's also important that we've seen this before where someone may start off with quite large
Right.
territories and they realize after that they've oversold a territory that it's actually
Yeah.
too big, and they've given it away and they've given exclusive rights to someone, and then they have to have that hard conversation about breaking
Right.
it up.
Yeah, that latter approach is particularly true if people have not used territory mapping initially. They've just sort of said, okay, this area and described it by place names or zip codes, but not really considering, are people willing to travel 10, 15 miles for that service? Could it support 2 units? So yeah, all of these problems can be avoided. As you mentioned, getting it just right it is the key here. Not too small, not too large. Yeah.
And that's based upon the customer profile that you have. So it's when you go for the territory strategy, I think it's really important to know who your
Hmm.
customer is. And then this all informs the types of data that you will use, and then the size of your territories, which we will discuss in later videos. So um, I think also as well, one really important thing here that we haven't touched upon yet when you're actually defining territories is that it helps with marketing significantly, especially digital
Right.
marketing in terms of like zip codes or boundaries, etc. So maybe let's explore that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So if you're a franchisee operating in a particular area, if you're going to do digital marketing, obviously you only want to market to people that are within a proximity of your site. So you can build territories that are zip code or postcode based. That allows you to feed directly into those digital marketing platforms. So you're really getting, good bang for your buck. You're not selling or showing those ads to people that live further away. So yeah, you can use zip codes to do that. There are other boundary types available. Sometimes zip codes can be a little bit large. If you're looking for a smaller territory, it can be awkward to use zip codes as a building block. It really depends on what your objectives are, how that product or service is going to be sold, and the size of the territory itself. Is it 100,000 person territory or is it a 20,000 person territory? These are all the considerations that go into deciding what to use for the territory as a basis for territories, and what boundary type to use.
Okay, so this is the first talk. We're not going too deep on any of the specifics here. We'll be doing that in later videos, such as data,
Mm.
etc. But in this video, we just wanted to talk about the benefits, say, about some of the reasons that you would switch to a territory-based model. I think what we've really touched upon here is that you can use data to form a really much more detailed territory now, and this is some of the new innovative ways that franchises are actually using. There's also things about making the size of the territory just right for when you're presenting that to franchisees and making sure all the data is there. There are downstream effects on marketing. You can actually assign specific zip codes. So there are numerous reasons why. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, that's right. And at the end of the day, it's really about giving the prospect the confidence that this is a good opportunity. So it's real data. It's a professional presentation. They can feel like they can have ownership of that area. It's not just something that's talked about as being out there somewhere. So it's really about that, presenting something that's compelling. That's the goal at the end of the day, I think.
Cool. Well, we'll be exploring that in the videos to come. We'll be touching upon, we'll be going through the whole process. Like I said, we'll be looking at how and why would you adopt a more data-driven territory strategy? What are some of the ways that other brands are being innovative around this in terms of how they're using data? We'll be talking about things like demographics, points of interest, competitor locations that you can all blend together to really give a powerful presentation of what a local area is like, or what the territory is like. And then we'll be also going through the actual sales process of how you put all of that together. Your strategy, your customer profile, all of the different bits of data you use to build your territories, and then how you take that to market and ultimately begin selling and gaining investors. So I think that leaves us for this first session. The next session will be actually going really deep into demographic data, which is really the fundamental part of territory mapping. So if anyone would like to discuss further about this, we'll be leaving a link throughout all the videos so that you can actually book a call with us directly. But demographic data is in the next session, and we will see you there. Thanks for joining me, Paul. I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you, Lawrence.